So the first game on this episode is Room 25.
Designed by François Rouzé. Artist is Danielle Balage and Camille Durand-Kriegel, and it's published by Matagot.
Cool. So Room 25, if I get this straight, it's like a game show where the players are trying to escape this room, but it's televised, kind of like a Battle Royale style or Smash TV style thing, if you're familiar with that game. But you're trying to escape, and all this crap's happening. People are dying. People are cheering while they watch you while they eat their breakfast and stuff like that. But if you don't get out fast enough, they kill everyone. So there's a timer.
Essentially, it's a cross between Running Man and The Cube.
That's fair.
Yes.
And before I start, I've been wanting to text you this 1,000 times. What did you call the actual thing? Because I don't think in the rulebook it refers to it as such.
The actual thing.
The polyhedron?
Oh, it's a tesseract.
A tesseract.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Is that a Star Trek thing?
No, that's a mathematical thing.
Yeah, we looked it up. It's a...
Gotcha. Because I was reading the rulebook trying to find it so I can write it down. I don't think it actually refers to it in the rulebook.
No, it never calls it a tesseract.
He just called it that for you to imagine it as a tesseract.
Either way, my point is that is one of the coolest words ever. It's such a cool word.
It's from Thor?
Yeah.
Is it from Thor?
Yeah, that's what Loki has. He has the tesseract.
The tesseract. Right.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I don't watch Marvel movies.
No.
Well, anyway.
If you did, you'd know tesseract.
Right.
It's from mathematics.
Actually, I should just say I don't really watch movies. It's not that Marvel movies probably on the top list of
Hating
things.
on Marvel? Hating on Marvel?
Well, anyway, this is Room 25.
Room 25.
So, but basically, this tesseract of a room is made up of a 5x5 grid. All the tiles are face down except for one in the middle. You do some clever ways of the way you build this deck of room cards to where the exit is always going to be in the corners of the map because you shuffle it with 11 other cards and you put those in the corners.
Starting out.
Yeah, starting out because of reasons. But basically, each player is going to get a role, and you're either going to be a player in this game or what is it, like a prisoner or something like that?
Guard.
Prisoner, yeah.
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 And one of those prisoners is going to be the VIP, which is if they lose, all of you lose. And then is it always two people will be guards?
No, the particular setup that we had, we were playing the trader game, which has up to 2 guards. And also we had the VIP expansion. So we were adding a couple of things onto the game.
Right.
Oh,
So you can
gotcha.
also play just straight co-op.
Yeah, this is George's game. He had basically everything.
I have everything for this game. It's one of my top 25 games. I love it.
Oh, fair enough. Well, anyway, so the idea behind this game is you're trying to find room 25, which is the exit. In order to do so, you got to program some actions and move around. While you're doing that, you got to also trust the people in the rooms with you. Otherwise, they could be bad and do crazy things to you. So you have these tiles that are going to be placed down in one of 2 action spots on your board. And these are the programmed actions. And then you take in turn order, starting with the VIP. You go around and resolve that first action and then resolve the second action. It's interesting because you can't use the same action twice. Although you do have an adrenaline boost, basically, that you can spend once a game. There's ways to get it back, possibly. But that will allow you to do a third action, and it can be one of the other 2. So the actions are pretty basic. One is to peek at a tile or room or whatever that's adjacent to you, in which case you'll pick it up and look at it. Your player board will have a description of all the rooms. So mostly it's just, here's your special ability, and then every room in the game. And then the 2 spots for your actions. So you can peek at an adjacent room. There's another action to move into that adjacent room. There's an action to push somebody else into an adjacent room. There's one to move around to do this tesseract action type of thing. I don't know what it's actually called. Rotate, I think.
It's called Control.
Control. And you basically choose a vertical or horizontal line of rooms, and you do what you would do in the game Labyrinth, where you push them, like they all shift one space to the left or right, and then you take the one that got pushed off and put it back to the beginning of that line or row, column or row. And that'll basically, randomize, where everything is, kind of, unless you know what they are, but it'll allow you to get rooms closer to you or away from other people, etc.
You're Rubik's twisting the cube.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. There's also, you have a special ability for your character, which usually, or I think in all cases, includes a special tile for you to activate your special ability. And then, am I missing one? That's all of them, right? Actions?
Those are all the actions. There are four actions. Yeah.
And you just keep going. most of the game is because of the rooms and what they do. Every single room essentially has some sort of ability that happens. There's very few that are empty, or at least in the copy that you have.
Oh, sorry. There are 5 actions. One action is simply to move.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So you're moving around, you're trying to do stuff, you're trying to figure out who the guards are, the bad people, so that you can either do stuff and push them into rooms that might kill them or hurt them or whatever. And what else?
You're seeking the escape, which is room 25.
Yeah.
Which is the
And you
game.
all have to be in that room
Everyone
at the same
has
time.
to make it. The guards
Oh, the
are
good
trying
guys.
to stop you. Yeah.
Right. Or the prisoners, really.
Yeah.
Or interchange that with the good guys.
Well, if there's anything else that's pertinent, just mention it when you're explaining it. But for the most part, let's go ahead and start. We'll start. We'll do George last, since he is obviously the biggest fan. Matt, what did you think of this?
I enjoyed this. Whenever George mentioned it was like Cube, the movie, I got excited because I like that movie a lot. And I was surprised someone else knew it. So
Yeah,
because it's
I
a fair,
remember watching it.
you mentioned it too, Eric.
Yeah.
It's a fairly obscure movie. But yeah, I always like the simultaneous action choosing in games. That's always fun. This does have kind of the traitor. It's got a social deduction element to it.
Yeah.
You got to be careful going in the rooms, Eric.
Yeah.
You can't just.
So hint, some rooms just outright kill you.
Yeah. So
And you
Basically,
only have one life.
It was an incinerator.
Yeah.
yeah. So you do have to be careful in this game because rooms will just straight kill you by walking into them.
There's only one though, I think. I mean, most other rooms might.
Most other rooms give you a chance.
Right.
Yeah, but that room
there's
is called
one room that
the mortality room.
Yeah, you just die.
Yeah. So I mean, all in all, yeah, man, I enjoyed this. I was a traitor or a guard or whatever. I didn't feel like I was at a disadvantage playing that,
Even
so-
with Eric dead.
yeah, even,
Yeah. Well, Matt thought I was a traitor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You weren't.
Right.
You weren't.
And I was
Yeah.
not the
No,
traitor.
I was the other traitor, and
Right.
I was no help.
yeah, it's all
I was
right.
no help.
But
I actually forgot that
that's
part.
why.
Yeah.
but what is it?
I
The-
kept because I was blaming Eric the whole time. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. He had no help. His traitor friend died.
Am,
early in
am
the
I
game.
right that the guards, whenever they reveal themselves, they get to choose their actions
Yes.
as they want? So, I mean,
Correct.
you kind of do get a little bit of an advantage because you do have everybody against you at that point.
Right.
I guess the only bad thing I can say about the game is I'm not a fan of player elimination. Unfortunately, that happened to Eric.
Although, is there a room where there's a hospital or something that?
Yes,
you can
I
bring-
tried. I kept it hidden the whole
Okay.
game.
There's
Yeah.
a resurrection room.
There
There
you
is a
go.
resurrection
So
room.
at
I let
least
nobody know about
There
it.
was an
It was
option,
fantastic.
and no one else knew that there was a resurrection room.
But that might
to
not
bring me
always
back
be in the
alive.
game, I'm assuming.
I would always put it in the
You
game.
would always put it in the game.
Because you can choose the rooms that you put in the game as you're setting it up.
I got you.
Ah,
And so as the person who owns the game, I always put it
You
in.
always put
Right.
it in.
Absolutely.
it's like
I mean, that's not a bad idea, strictly because the game does have player elimination.
Yeah.
yeah.
If it didn't, then yeah, maybe it was a room that re-heals you or something. Maybe say if it's a game where you get damaged and you can't do anything until you're healed.
Well, in this case, the resurrection room, if anyone were to go into that room, then another player who has died gets resurrected, whether they're a guard or not.
Oh, okay.
So they could
Right.
have brought you back if they just gone
Or-
into that room, which
Or even
Oh, Matt,
at
Matt
that
did
point,
a good job at hiding it.
he did a
though.
fantastic
Yeah.
job to hide that.
Yeah.
They didn't know I was good or bad. Or if Matt, you thought I was a guard with you, you could have rezzed me. And I was like,
Well,
"Oh, thanks."
I wasn't sure.
Okay.
It was very, very late game that I started to
figured it
kind of think that you were.
Yeah.
Just because I seemed like I was all by myself.
Right.
Yeah. It does have player elimination. That's one of the big negatives, but there is the resurrection room, and there's also the tension that you get from the fact that I could just die. Like I could
Right.
actually die and be out of the game. That makes it sort of high stakes.
Well, and there's an option where you just can play co-op, but I would always play with the guards because then you always have that, can't trust, these guys I'm with or whatever. So you can never really fully trust somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
So,
think I'd like to fully co-op on this.
I don't
No.
think I would either.
The
Yeah.
fully co-op really isn't any fun. It's more of a memory game. You figure out where the rooms are, and then you're fine. Everyone's protecting everyone. But they sort of solved that issue by coming out with another expansion, which is called Escape Room.
Oh, I do want to play this.
Oh, yes, this does sound awesome.
Yes.
So that one is fully co-op, but you have to go around and you have to find particular rooms that give you clues, and they really are just pieces of puzzle. So then you have to take 2 pieces of puzzle and put them together, and there are 4 of them. So there's 8 things, and you have to get all 8, put them together into groups of 4 pairs, and then solve the puzzles. And I thought I was fairly good at solving puzzles, and I'm rubbish.
It didn't turn out good.
I'm rubbish at this.
Nice.
Yeah,
sounds
they're
awesome.
quite good. They're quite difficult.
I'd like to try that sometime. It sounds neat.
Yeah.
What'd y'all think about the player count was 7? Have you played it with that many?
Yes.
I
I
liked it at 7.
typically play with 7, 8.
Yeah, I would want a lot of people, and it did play fast for that amount. So,
Right.
yeah.
Even with that many players, your turns go by pretty fast. It was still, a fairly short game.
The social aspect is
It's a 60-minute game.
Is I guess what kind of gives you your length on your game.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah. So if you're constantly talking and trying to discuss things or whatever, the game's going to be a lot longer, which is the Shadows over Camelot issue that we end up running into. Now, it's a problem. It's not a problem with the game ever. It's really just your group.
Yeah.
So because that kind of just applies to any of those games. I don't know. My favorite part of the game was the Russian roulette room.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was absolutely fantastic. You walk in there, it puts down these 6 tokens, and one of them is a gunshot. Does it kill you? Yeah, it kills you, right?
Yeah, if you get shot.
If you get shot, right.
Yeah. But the other ones are blanks. So you're just like, click.
I mean, really, all the rooms are interesting in their own right.
They're all different.
They're all fun. They're all different. Yeah. It was almost like you just wanted to do like an Eric and just walk in a room just to see what it was.
Right.
But
the reason I did that is it is on timer, and I felt that maybe we had to take some risk to do it within our time frame.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You don't have enough time to be cautious.
Right.
yeah.
You did have to take some risk. But not at the very beginning of the game.
It wasn't the very beginning, but it was maybe midway through.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But if we would have known that there was a hospital, I could have came back.
I mean, that's fair, yeah. And I don't know, like, have you played the base game of this with no expansions?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Is it still pretty awesome?
I think it's still fun. I think all the expansions have made it just exponentially better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
There's a number of them.
just going by comments from what I was reading, a lot of people were just saying the base game is meh for them, but adding the expansions really,
Added a lot.
Yeah.
takes it from like their rating of a 4 to a 9.
Oh, I
mean,
got you.
So it's
One thing I was interested is that all the tiles had those sleeves that were printed for the game. I know it's supposed to fix the issue between the prints of the expansions.
That is an issue. That was an issue. Those sleeves came with the VIP expansion, which is the latest one. But you can also purchase them directly from Matagot.
Yeah. See, I wish more companies would make sleeves for tiles.
Oh yeah.
Like, not just to hide cosmetic differences between the base game and the expansions, but just because if you play a game a lot,
they can get
Right.
marked.
it can get marked, and it would be, especially in a game like this, you mark something. That's
You know
bad.
exactly what
Exactly.
one room is.
Yeah, you almost don't even want to include it anymore, but it could be the room 25. If that gets chipped,
Oh wow.
Right.
that's terrible.
Mhm.
And you try not to look, but you're gonna notice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it's like a scratch where it's like a white scratch,
Right.
game over. I mean, you need to do something like put a different like proxy in place at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I have to give a lot of props to Matagot for doing that. When they first came out with the game, they were just a very small company, Matagot, and this is one of the games that they had, and it didn't have a lot to it. It was a very shoestring kind of budget that they had at that time. Later, they were bought by Asmodee, and once that happened, they had the budget, I think, to sort of fix all the issues that they had with the different expansions. So they've constantly improved this game, and now they've made it to where the tiles are indistinguishable, and that's just terrific.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Anything else you want to add? Any final thoughts?
No, I thought it was entertaining. So
Oh, yeah. I liked it
liked
quite
it.
a bit.
Oh, there are a couple other modes to mention. There's the team versus team mode, which is also very fun. You could play with teams of 2, and they're all competing against each other.
right,
You
trying to
want to get out first,
first. Mm-hmm.
and kill the
That'd be
others.
cool.
That just sounds like a bunch of. Do you start in the same room?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is so
start pushing-
chaotic.
Pushing people.
Everybody's first action is push.
Right.
Or I guess you couldn't do that because it's order of operation.
Right. Not everybody is gonna push. No,
Right.
3 of you are.
Because you might choose push, but if you're not going first, you might be the one pushed, and then who are you going to push?
Yeah.
You
Then
can't-
you would not do anything.
You can't actually push in the central chamber.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
Never
okay.
mind.
Yeah.
I think you actually. We never tried to do it, but I think you mentioned it a couple of times just in case people were trying to do it.
Yeah. So the version that we played with is called Room 25 Ultimate, and that's the second expansion that came out and sort of encapsulated the first game and the first expansion into an edition that had nicer bits and sort of everything. and that is the one that also introduced the adrenaline token. So I would say if people are interested in the game, they should definitely go for
newer version.
Room 25 Ultimate Edition.
Oh yeah.
And then you can add on to that. There's a fan-based expansion called The Audience that we didn't play with, but it's very fun, where you have a die that has faces on it, like smiley face, frown face, that kind of thing. And it's you roll it each round, and that's what the audience is feeling. And depending on the mood of the audience, the first player each round has constraints on what they can do or what they have to do. Like if the audience is in a skeptical mood or something, they have to push somebody. Or, it's really
Like, this is too boring.
For rating purposes.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty good.
You're gonna have to just walk in that room. You can't think at it.
Yeah, you just have to move because the audience is bored.
Right.
So
Cool.
Well, cool. Yeah, if you got a big group, that likes to play social style games, this is definitely, I think, on the top of that list.
Yeah.
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Suspicion mode. Way to go.
oh yeah. Anything else,
No.
Matt?
Nope.
Cool. Anyway, that is Room 25.